Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining me on another 10-Minute Tuesday. This is Sekou Tyler, and I have literally one of the most influential people in my life. There'd be no 10-Minute Tuesday, no Power BI, no Tableau, anything without Will Harvey. So I'm so glad to have you on today. Will, what's up, man?
I'm doing great, and that's hard to believe, but that's awesome.
I'll get into it at the end, but yeah, your influence has been super heavily influenced. But it's not about me; it's about you, Will. So, 10-Minute Tuesday, 10 minutes. Let's go ahead and hop into it. So, Will, introduce the people. Introduce yourself to the people.
Yeah, so I'm from Florida, and I went to Vanderbilt, so that brought me to Nashville, and so I've been here longer than anywhere, so I call it home. And I uh, I have a wife and four kids now, and so I'm all grown up, and I'm an independent uh, Power BI contractor, um, specialized in Power BI, and part of the Nashville Power BI user group. So that's where Sekou and I met and have been in contact for about 10 years now, right?
Yeah,
Or longer.
has it been? It might have been longer. Jeez Louise, wow, time really
I,
flies.
yeah, it
Uh,
really does.
Awesome. So, Vanderbilt, you're now independent owner of your own consulting firm, Power BI, T-Shape Analytics, but you initially started somewhere. So, what really compelled you to actually get into data to begin with?
So it's a pretty fun story. So Sekou and I actually started at the same company, I believe. We both had our first job, but we did not know each other then.
No.
But so it was Healthways. I started there in 2004, a little before Sekou did. And I was there in the HR department doing an internship with no technical skills whatsoever. And of course, Healthways had a lot of healthcare data. They were ingesting claims data and they had their own data they were generating. And I was looking for a job, and they told me if I could learn to write SQL, I would have a job. And so I thought, let's do it. So I had a friend who was the one technical person I knew, and he was more in the open source world. So he taught me how to write SQL on my Mac laptop with like the command line, and it was very hard to learn, but he taught me, and I learned, and I ended up getting the job and learning a lot more. And so the rest is history. After that, I haven't turned back, and I've enjoyed it as a career and still love doing it every day. So
Awesome, awesome. It's like I love hearing the origin stories of like is either I learned this in school or I needed a job and it's like, hey, if you learn this skill set, then you can have a job. Like, okay, let me learn it and then just take it and run with it. So I always love
yeah,
hearing those origin stories.
and I enjoy it so much. It's funny that it just kind of happened to me. It's like that's what they needed, but I also enjoy it, so it worked out well.
Awesome. All right. So understanding that, right, you had a start, and even before then, you didn't work at Healthways, but you've been in a lot of jobs potentially. So to date, what's been your least favorite job that you've had?
So there's there's several maybe unenjoyable things like build out all these reports where you're just kind of doing all this manual work. And then there's the task of doing documentation. That's never fun. Um, but I think my least favorite was um, I kind of learned I was asked to create a dashboard, um, but then it kind of pivoted to look what Will did, uh, and I realized that the leadership was trying to get the rest of the department to switch from Tableau and switch from Alteryx because they were trying to save money on software licensing. And um, I didn't enjoy uh, trying to help people transition because they didn't want to. So,
Yeah.
and I didn't feel like I felt like, you know what, the pros and cons, they're both good tools. So I didn't enjoy the task of having to convince them because they really would have to learn a lot, and it might not be able to do all the things they were doing. So, but that was my probably my least enjoyable
Yeah. Yeah.
job I had. So
That's always like so as you know, like I'm multiple tools, so Tableau, Alteryx, Power BI, so on and so forth. So
yeah,
I always get approached of like, what's my favorite? What is it that I would use or what have you. And I don't have a favorite, but I hate being put in that middle area to try and convince people like you have to use this.
Yeah.
Because it's not a fun place to be in.
Yeah. And I honestly didn't feel like I had any good reasons to convince them of.
Yeah.
There's the cost comparisons. The features are all really good. There's some like slight, this one's better at this one's better at this, but they're both really good. So
Yeah.
I'm with you. I only use one, but I couldn't really convince them to switch
Yeah.
very well. So,
Got it. So
but you're
along
the
the
expert on that. So.
Oh no, not at all, not at all. All right, so along the path, we understand there's a journey. There's a lot of highs. There could be some lows as well. So, what would you think would be one of your biggest "quote unquote" failures that you experienced in your career, and what did you learn from that experience?
So what I think my biggest failure was, I think I didn't fail necessarily, um, but it was attempting to do training um, and not really going all in on it. So mainly being a dashboard developer and a data analyst, but then being asked to do a training, um, and I learned that that takes a lot of time to prepare the materials and to think through what's the best way of explaining this and give them exercises to do. Um, so I've done a few of those over the years, and they've all been big flops uh, financially. So I put in a lot of work because I know this is what it's going to take to make it good, but I can't charge them that much for
Yeah,
the hours I put in because that's a lot. So it took a lot of work. It would be a high cost, and so I ended up just losing, like not making as much money as if I had just done another project that wasn't training. So that I would consider those are my probably my failures from a monetary perspective, where I didn't really get paid for the work I did.
got
But
it.
I think I erred on I want this to be good either way. So I think the client was happy, but
Yeah.
I was unhappy because I was like, oh, I'm just working for free here.
Yeah.
So
I, I think it's always great, like, and that's why I say quote unquote failures, because sometimes you can go down a path, and then once you go down it, you're like, this might not be for me. Like, let me
yeah,
pivot and really focus on the things that I'm good at. So, one of my mentors calls it fail forward, right? You understand, what is really good in your swim lane and what might not be the best for you.
yeah.
Um, so,
And
awesome.
I think I enjoy the training, but I also like having my hands on the keyboard. And so, but I realize you have to go all in on it because you need to reuse your materials to make it work. But
Yeah.
so I think I'm happy what I'm doing, and whenever I have those people request training, I say there's other places you can go, and they're probably better.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so what is one piece of advice you give someone who's just starting out in their career?
So I think if I could give three pieces, uh, I think it's like a package deal. So I think so. If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably interested in data, right? And
Yeah, I think that's my
you're
target
interested
audience.
in technology in some
Yeah,
way. So I think I would encourage you to go for it, to gain a technical skill. Um, I think that opens doors, so it makes it easier to get a job because I feel like I gained a technical skill, and I feel like people hire me for that skill. Um, and so it's a good way to get into a job is to have that technical skill and to keep a job. I lost all of my work during COVID because, as we know, companies lost revenue and had to cut people. But I was able to find something and work remotely um, relatively quickly. So I think having that technical skill makes finding jobs easier. So I would encourage you in that. And then my two other things are um, good communication skills and creativity. So I think just enjoying talking to people, working with people, being polite, all of that, um, and then being creative and coming up with creative solutions is what helps you keep your job
yeah,
and succeed in your job. And I think bringing those together, bringing the technical with the creative, creating solutions that are innovative, um, add so much value and will help you get your job and keep your job. So that
Yeah.
would be my advice.
I love that. I love that. Get your job and keep your job. 'Cause that's the name of the game. Because it's one thing to get it, but you have to keep it. Right? You don't want to keep chasing and not building up your skill set to where you
That's
can
right.
maintain your job.
And that's where you need more than just the technical skills. But I think the technical skills open the door, and then the other softer skills keep you there
Yeah, I
and
love
help
that.
you progress. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
love
that's my
that.
advice.
I love that. That's great. That's actually great and a different perspective. Not different, but this perspective I haven't heard it, especially in a long time. That it's one thing to know the technical, but you got to be able to keep it and use your other skills to keep what you have going on. All right. So tell me about the most influential people in your life and how they've made an impact on you.
Yeah. So um, I would say my probably my first manager is career wise. Um, his name is Walter Gibson. He's probably not listening to this because he's probably retired now, but he gave me a chance, and uh, I feel like he kind of mentored me through those early years of learning, and um, he had to deal with a young, excited guy who had a lot of ideas, and he had to be like, "Well, let's calm down. Let's calm down. Let's just do the job we were assigned." So I feel like he had a lot of patience and helped me through those early years. So I think of him. Um, and then I also think of uh, Ken Rates because I was a full-time employee, and he took me out to coffee and asked me if I'd like to join his team as a consultant. And so that kind of got me into the consulting world, and I got to see him help companies with their problems and define what they were and kind of write up a statement of work and get a project and help that company, and then more projects would follow, and just working with different organizations, different industries. um, so he kind of showed me that, and then he also invited me to start a business with him, so that was more entrepreneurial, and that I got to see how he would sell business on his own and kind of run a company at another level. um, and then after that, I went out and did it on my own. So I learned a lot through seeing him do consulting, and then kind of running a business and getting clients and doing sales. So I haven't had to do a lot of sales, but I guess I learned kind of how it works from him, like from the operations of it and the sales part of it and the invoicing and everything. So
Yeah.
I would say that's who I would say.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. That's so good. All right. So, Will, where can listeners find you at online?
So unfortunately, I don't have a big online presence. I do have a website for my business, but it's kind of stuck in 2016. I haven't touched it since then, and um, I don't know if I will. So hopefully I'll do something with it more, but it is t-shapedanalytics.com where my website is. And then of course we do the user group, so
Yep.
that's that's another place you can find both of them. So
Yeah. Also, so yeah, t-shape analytics.com, Power BI Nashville on YouTube, where you see a lot of our old talks in the Nashville Power BI user group. Thank you so much for this interview, Will. This was great, and I'm going to get it on wax, on tape. Like I was mentioning earlier, there would be no SQL Seku or anything without you. I went to how to create a dashboard in an hour, and I still remember it was a session that you created, and you were at the National Entrepreneur Center. I think Power BI was still young, and I went there, and I was like, "Whoa, I want to do this." And ever since I saw that and just had a connection and talked to you, you literally have been such an influence. So I wanted to get that on wax. I wanted to make sure I had a podcast on here with you as well. Really important to me. So I appreciate all that you do, man.
well, that's amazing. It's hard to believe, and I remember all your talks from those old days. You were already doing good things. So,
Yeah. Oh, and
but I've
another
been
thing. Sorry, to cut you off. Another thing is I am recording this podcast on the desktop you gave me. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, so it is getting reused, and a lot of the content and everything that I'm recording is because of that. So again, high influence. I really just appreciate everything, man.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you're making good use of it.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely,
it's been
definitely.
great talking with you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Really
appreciate
appreciate
it.
it.
Yeah, appreciate it. And everybody, thank you so much for joining us on 10 Minute Tuesday. If you have not already, please like, share, and subscribe. And we will talk to you all next Tuesday. You all have a great day.